There's a new mech shooter that was released in early access on April 2nd that is called Steel Hunters. It is a free-to-play mech PvPvE hero shooter with battle royale and somewhat extraction shooter elements. Now the game is developed and published by Wargaming Group Limited, the same devs behind games such as World of Tanks, as an example. In Steel Hunter you're playing in teams of 2, at least in the PvP mode available so far, where you get into quite a large map with destructible environment as a bonus. I like that. You then need to start killing AI drones in order to loot and upgrade your mech before you face another duo, meaning other players. Now the downside here is exactly what I first mentioned though. The looting, meaning looting for and shooting down these drones in order to upgrade, gets tedious in the game quite fast. And it's on the weaker or even boring side of things in the game, since the fun starts to happen later in the game when there's only a few teams or duos left. Most matches tend to end more or less exactly as described, meaning 2-3 teams that are left fighting for the win. And also maybe the extraction. Well, a good thing though is that a game doesn't last that long, which I think is a nice thing, since I often felt that other battle royale games takes too long. Yes, I'm a bit impatient from time to time. But after you've played 1 or 2 hours when it comes to Steel Hunters, it starts to feel, as said, a bit repetitive, since there's basically only one game mode available so far, unless you don't choose to play the same kind of game mode but only against AI, if that's your thing. I therefore believe the game quite soon needs more content added, such as 1 or 2 more hunters maybe, but especially more game modes and maybe maps as well. Yes, it is early access, I know, but I felt this already after a couple of hours of playing, so I do think that more players than me will most likely start to have the same feel, which might push people away a bit too early from Steel Hunter before actually trying out the game properly. Because there are positive things about this game as well. Now the mechs called Hunters are pretty cool when it comes to their weapons, design, abilities and characteristics. They all add something into the game, even though some might be slightly better than others. The pacing is pretty slow in the game, but I kind of like that, since it then also adds some weight to the mechs, almost making it feel a bit more realistic, if you know what I mean. The maps are quite big, but it's fun to bash through buildings when it comes to these destruction possibilities as mentioned earlier. And the actual gameplay and gunplay, especially when getting into fights with other mechs or hunters as they are called, is pretty fun. This is when some team play and strategy comes into play, especially also as mentioned, since the movement is a bit on the slower side of things. And therefore having a good teammate can definitely be crucial, a big game changer if you will. So if possible, I do recommend playing the game with a friend. Talking about playing with a friend, do keep in mind that the game will match you within a certain range when it comes to your rank. So if you're about to join a friend that has already spent days and hours into the game, you might have to grind quite some first before you can actually team up together. Bear also in mind that there's a system that I believe is called account level, which only goes up as you rank up your hunters. It basically means that individual characters, hunters that is, will get progressively harder to level up over time. So if your goal is to try to play with as many hunters as possible, and also ranking them up accordingly, then you need to keep an eye on how much you spend on each hunter. A kind of money management almost, if you will. Most people will though likely find their favorite among the hunters and keep upgrading that hunter in particular. Nothing wrong with that, but as said, expect then that it will become progressively harder to do just that. So trying to play only one will result in some kind of less account XP the more time you invest. Now, the hunters can also be upgraded in different ways, of course. As a matter of fact, I do see a bit of a dark cloud here on the horizon when it comes to future monetization after the early access phase. Because here are consumable boosters. You find a battle pass, and most battle passes will have battle pass tier skips. And since the game is developed and published by Wargaming, there will be monetization down the line as mentioned, and a possible pay-to-win situation. So get used to credits and platinum, construct, starfall, shards, gear upgrade cores, skill points to keep track of, and you will have to somewhat focus on them all if you're gonna play Steel Hunter in the long run and also do well in the game. There's always more to it, meaning things to add, but I thought I'd try to add things up and together here towards the end of the video. Steel Hunters is free to play, it's on PC and available on Steam. It's a mech hunter, hero shooter, battle royale extraction game where you play in duos against each other and also PvE elements. The mechs are called hunters and they have different abilities, guns and overall design. The gameplay is a bit slower compared to some other games you have been playing in the genre, So a tactical mindset and team thinking comes into play and can be also crucial if you're gonna end up as the winners. That doesn't mean though that the game can't become quite chaotic and hectic from time to time, but it happens mostly towards the end of each match. The matches are quite short, sometimes between the 5 to 10 minute mark, and you start off by looting for upgrades as you go. I got into matches fast, which is nice, but that also makes me wonder if there's sometimes AI, meaning bots, in some of the matches instead of the real players. It's hard to tell. Well, especially the looting process becomes a bit boring or quite fast, if I may say so, meaning the drone shooting, and it's on the negative side of things according to me. The actual gameplay or gunplay is quite simplistic, which turns fights often into flanks or counter flanks. But at the same time, the gunplay and abilities in combination can be fun to use, and if you're having a good match together with your teammate, it can be also quite rewarding. I hope they're able to optimize the game better when it comes to performance, since it felt as if it needs some work, and most likely more servers as well across the world. Well, again, it's early access, so we'll see about that. There's probably more to it as said, but these are my initial thoughts and impression after playing some hours of Steel Hunters. So let me know what you think, and with that I want to say thank you for watching, and I do hope to see you soon again in an upcoming video here on my channel. So cheers and later!